Welcome back to Is There Life Out There? So, I'm addressing a comment today that I want to talk about, and it's provoking me here to do another video. On my last video, it was about things that people say to single people. And I got a comment that said, I wrote it down, so I'll be reading off here. You're not an ugly woman. You had every chance to build a family. Nobody is going to feel bad for women anymore. You wanted equality? Enjoy it. I thought, wow, it's interesting. So I said, I'm not asking anyone to feel sorry for me. It's definitely a choice, and I embrace it. This is being single. There's many reasons for that. We'll get into that in a minute. I said, sorry, you misunderstood the video. So here's something I want to address, is single parents. Whether you are male or female, it seems to be happening a lot in this day and age where people are finding themselves raising children on their own. And there's various reasons for that. That could be because of a death of one of the parents. Bottom line. Or that could be because one walked out and didn't financially want to hold up their end of the bargain or be responsible for their offspring. So my question is, women wanted equality and we're supposed to enjoy it. But what if we were put in a situation where we didn't have a choice? And I know there's a lot of people who are going to resonate with this, whether it be man or woman. You know, one thing I know in today's day and age, which wasn't so much back in the day, where addictions are through the roof, there's a lot of men raising children and the mother is off all caught up in addiction. Okay? And I understand that aspect of it too, but I am going to speak from a woman's perspective. So you have a couple of choices left in a situation where you are financially 100% responsible for children. You can either sit on the system, be on welfare, whatever you call it where you are, and people are put down for that because they're living off the taxpayers' money. Or that woman can go out and try and make something of herself so she can provide that roof over her children's head and food on the table, and to be able to provide the clothes on their back that they need. It's not always a choice that you can have a family and that somehow the women failed at that. That is a very unfair statement. Equality. I look at that and I think there's a lot of people who have been put in positions where they had no choice than to go out and figure it out, get a job, stand on their own 2 feet, and support themselves. And times have changed greatly now. But I'm sure as a single parent, that would be triggering to anyone. And especially if you have lost a parent to death as a child, or even addictions or whatever. There's so many different circumstances that have landed people in this position. And it's not just about keeping that roof over the kid's head and food on the table. It is the emotional side of it. And one thing I never did, and my kids will tell you this to this day, as much as there were times I wanted to, or I was very frustrated, I never once talked shit about their dad. Always told them when you get older, you get your driver's license, you can go and see him. He would phone me every now and again because he was running from the court order of his child support and he owed a lot of money. Every time they catch up with him, you get one, possibly two checks because he quit and he'd go find another job until they caught up with him again. It was a process. And this is what I dealt with till it was over $100,000 in back support that this person owed me. And that's once my kids were grown and out of the house. And I ended up clearing that maintenance order basically for peanuts because at that point my kids were raised and it really didn't matter anymore. I just wanted it out of my life. And while it was ruining his. But here's the thing that a lot of people don't talk about is the emotional side of those children that got walked out on. And that's really what it's all about. Is not talking shit about the other parent. I would tell them, your dad is very confused right now and, but he loves you. Meanwhile, he'd phone me wanting me to drop this family maintenance order, okay? And ask me, oh, well, how old are they now? And that's the only time we'd ever hear from him when it came to that family maintenance order. And they caught up with him at work. And even then, I never talked shit about him. One of my kids always believed that he was just confused, making some bad choices, and he truly did love them. And now my kids are more than grown, kids of their own even. And one somewhat has something to do with them, the other just won't. You didn't care then, why should I care now? I even get the Happy Mother's Day texts and the Happy Father's Day texts from them too. Because I was the mom and I was the dad. I stepped up and had to play both roles. And mentally and emotionally, that I feel is the hardest part. You don't want your kids to have trauma later on in life. And something else is my dad died when I was 11. My mom was left to raise kids on her own, put herself through school. That wasn't my mom's choice. And I think ignorance is really bliss when people shoot their mouth off and make comments. A lot of people were put in positions that they didn't ask to be put in and that weren't necessarily their choices. And they were the ones who were left to pick up the pieces. And to any of you out there who are playing both roles, bless your heart. It's hard. And I hope that you're doing well. And I hope you're successful, whether you are male or female. Anyone who managed to stay off the system and try to make something of themselves, kudos to you. It's the going out, it's the working full time, it's coming home, making the meals, making sure lunches are made, making sure there's food in the house, all of those things. And it's hard. Making sure you have daycare set up if your kids aren't old enough to be on their own. There's so many challenges put on one person. And it is unfair. Money is only part of it. Paying child support, I feel I would rather somebody pay nothing and be there for the kids emotionally than to give a bit of money here and there and still leave you to do it on your own because it's hard. And then we have parents, whether it be male or female. And I've heard stories like this too. Men who paid child support for years. And the mother, would talk down about the father. The kids wanted nothing to do with him. He never got to have a relationship. People hold kids like hostage. And that's not fair either. And that takes a huge toll on them mentally and emotionally, more than you'll even realize, because things will come out later when they're adults that you never realized were happening when they were kids, and that will follow them through their life. And that'll be trauma that they will have to deal with later. You can't hold kids for ransom against their parents. You just can't. But people do it all the time, whether it be man or a woman. You can't take your frustrations out on somebody that you chose to have children with and use it against the other partner and turn those kids against them. Shame on you. Anybody who does that. They need to give their heads a shake. It is absolutely not okay. And even if you and somebody else were like oil and water, that sounds like the parent's problem. It doesn't mean that the kids can't have a healthy relationship with that person. You know, there's so many people out there who would give anything to see their kids, and they're not allowed. There's a parent avoiding them having any contact with the kids. And there's also children out there who would give anything to have a relationship with their parent who wants nothing to do with them, which causes a lot of emotional trauma. And this where, as men and women and moms and dads, we all need to step up to the plate and share the responsibility and be better human beings. And for anybody who did walk away and didn't care, you can't expect that child in their adulthood to care about you or even want to have a relationship with you. And that's on you. Anyways, I just wanted to come out here. Kudos to all you who are playing both roles or were put in a position where you had to. Maybe you made it out on the other side, and it truly is a beautiful thing. I truly believe children are a gift from God. Embrace them, love them. Let's just all be better human beings. Anyways, hope to see you on the next one. Bye for now.